Doctor Who has kind of become known for its Christmas specials. Even though we haven't really done one since 2017, and they're very hit or miss, they're definitely a big part of the show. They tend to be associated with the new series, which makes sense because it was such a tradition for so long. But there is also one from the classic series, one that we'll probably never see. Before I get into it though, I have to shout out to my Buy Me a Coffee page, and I promise it'll only take approximately 20 to 30 seconds. If you go to my Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/ColeHershowski, you can donate directly to the channel for just the price of a cup of coffee. I'm saving up right now for an HBO Max subscription so I can make a next day review of Wonder Woman 1984. So if you want to wake up on Boxing Day to a Wonder Woman 1984 review, time zone permitting, follow the link in the description to buymeacoffee.com/ColeHershowsky. The year is 1965, the place is Britain, and it's Christmas. Doctor Who Season 3 has been airing for 15 weeks. You're in the middle of an epic 12-part saga of the Doctor once again facing the Daleks that would one day be known as the Daleks' Master Plan. So far, it's been pretty much the best day ever. You woke up that morning to some wind-up Daleks, a James Bond toy car, and some of the first G.I. Joe figures. You tune into the BBC TV channel to watch a special Christmas episode of Doctor Who, and something very strange plays. This episode was called The Feast of Stephen and was a bit of an oddity in Doctor Who. It was the 7th part in the 12th-parter, The Daleks' Master Plan, but didn't really continue the narrative left from the last episode. Instead, this was a bit of a side trip in between episodes 5 and 7. The reason for this was that with it being a Christmas episode, the BBC saw no reason to sell it overseas, as some of the countries it would be sold to didn't celebrate Christmas, and the ones that did likely wouldn't be airing the episode on Christmas Day as it was intended. So they didn't want this episode to go forward with the Dalek narrative and make international viewers confused. So if the Daleks weren't in this episode, what happened? Well, the TARDIS materializes outside the police station on Christmas Day. However, something's wrong with the TARDIS scanner, so the Doctor thinks that they're on an alien planet with a dangerous amount of radiation. He leaves the TARDIS and gets arrested by the police, who find it very suspicious that an old man was inside a police box. So Stephen ends up having to find a policeman uniform and impersonate a police officer from another precinct to get the Doctor out. During all this, Sarah fixes the scanner but is almost also arrested. Luckily, Stephen is able to get both the Doctor and Sarah back in the TARDIS and they leave. When they next land, the scanner shows a woman about to be chopped to pieces with a hacksaw by some maniac in a factory of some sort, so they leave the TARDIS to stop him, only to discover they're on a film set. Then some unintelligible stuff happens, with the Doctor being mistaken for an actor, and another film set getting involved, and yeah, again they just get back to the TARDIS and leave just in time to have some Christmas champagne in the TARDIS, and end with the infamous scene of the Doctor breaking the fourth wall and telling the viewers, and incidentally, a happy Christmas to all of you at home. So yeah, it's not very good. While Terry Nation is credited as the writer of this episode, it's more accurate to say that he wrote some notes on the plot, and script editor Donald Tosh wrote the script based off of that. So it seems like Nation was just exhausted from having to write scripts and storylines for this huge saga, and just kind of threw together something that could work for a Christmas special, and Tosh just kind of had to work with it. But to its credit, maybe it would be less unintelligible if you could actually see what's going on. Because you can't just go and watch this episode, it's lost. You have to listen to a recording of the soundtrack and maybe watch some photographs of the screen as the episode played for its first and only time. But there's a reason that I'm singling this lost episode out as one that I dedicate a video to, and that is because it's considered to be the Doctor Who missing episode Holy Grail. The Daleks' Master Plan was never sold overseas, making it impossible for copies to turn up in other countries. But it was intended to be sold, so copies were made for that purpose. They were just never sold. But the Feast of Stephen, as I said before, was never intended to be sold overseas, so no copies of it were made. It ended up being trashed from the BBC archives soon after initial transmission because there was no future for it to the BBC. So since there were no known copies produced, it was the first Doctor Who episode to go missing, and the only one that we're pretty much sure is missing forever. but I wouldn't say hope is completely lost, especially now that we don't really have Christmas specials anymore. I've always kind of hoped that one day the BBC would announce an animated reconstruction of the Feast of Stephen would be aired as a Christmas special one year. Maybe then the story would make a little more sense. I wouldn't say this episode would be exceptionally hard to animate, though it does have a good amount of background characters and a slightly above average amount of background plates. But at the same time, it would only be one episode, not a whole story, so I could see them doing it. What do you think? Would you watch an animated reconstruction of the Feast of Stephen, or do you think that animating it won't help the fact that it's a bad episode? Or are you with me in that you know it's bad but think actually having a reconstruction that's actually watchable might add some charm to it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for daily videos on the franchises you love, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.